All right, today we're jumping into one of the most powerful stories ever told. It's a story all about conviction, about courage, and a faith that just refuses to quit, even when facing down absolute terrifying power.
And it all starts with this, a terrifying ultimatum from a king who thinks he's a god. The stakes couldn't be any higher. It's pretty simple. Bow down or burn. This isn't just a choice. It's a choice between allegiance and total annihilation.
So, how did we even get to this point? Well, that takes us to the first part of our story, the king's decree. This is all about one very powerful man and his command that you just could not refuse.
Okay, so meet the man at the center of it all, King Nebuchadnezzar. He's the absolute ruler of the mighty Babylonian Empire. Now you gotta understand, in his world, politics and religion were basically the same thing. The king's power was seen as divine. So when he orders this huge golden image to be built, it's not just a piece of art. Oh no, it is a mandatory loyalty test for the entire kingdom. And when I say huge, I'm not kidding. The statue was 60 cubits high. Now what does that mean? Well, that's about 90 feet tall. Think of a 9-story building made of gold. It was designed to do one thing, dominate the landscape and intimidate every single person who laid eyes on it.
The king's law was brutally simple. He had a herald shout it out for everyone to hear. Step 1, when you hear the sound of the orchestra. Step 2, you fall down and you worship the golden image. And step 3, well, that's the consequence if you refuse. You will be thrown immediately into a burning, fiery furnace. No trials, no appeals, no exceptions.
So you can picture it, right? The music starts and an entire kingdom bows as one. But our story shifts to 3 men who chose to stand up. And that leads us to this powerful moment, an act of defiance. So as the music plays, some officials run right up to the king, and they've got an accusation. They say, "Hey, king, those 3 guys you put in charge, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they're ignoring you. They didn't bow."
And this really boils the whole conflict down to its core, doesn't it? On one side, you have the king's command. Serve my gods, worship my image. It's an act of total submission. But on the other side, you have their conviction. We serve our God, and we worship him alone. This is a clash of 2 totally unbreakable wills. Nebuchadnezzar is absolutely enraged, but he gives them one more chance. And he ends it with this arrogant challenge. You can just hear the ego, right? In his mind, there is no power on heaven or earth greater than his. He truly believes he's the final authority on everything.
And this right here, this is the most important part of the entire story. The men tell the king that their God can save them, but then they say this, "But if not." Get that? Their faith is not a transaction. It doesn't depend on them being rescued. They're saying, whether we live or die, our decision is already made. We will not bow.
Well, you can imagine how that went over. That answer pushes the king way past reason, and his fury takes the shape of a punishment that is just terrifying to even think about. The text says Nebuchadnezzar was full of fury, and that the very expression on his face changed. This isn't just a king enforcing a law anymore, you know? This is personal. This is a man completely consumed by rage.
So what's his command? Heat the furnace 7 times hotter than it's ever been. This isn't just about execution. No, this is an act of pure, vengeful fury. He wants to make an example out of them.
And get this, the heat was so intense, so staggering, that the king's own soldiers, the mighty guards who were tasked with throwing the 3 men in, the flames leaped out and killed them on the spot. That's the kind of inferno we're talking about.
So Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego are tied up and thrown into the heart of that furnace, and you'd think, okay, this is the end. But right there, in the place of certain death, the story takes its most incredible turn.
All of a sudden, King Nebuchadnezzar is just astonished. He literally jumps to his feet and yells to his counselors, asking this question. He can't believe his own eyes. He knows what he ordered. He knows what should have happened, but it didn't.
And then, the king himself describes the miracle. He says, "Look, I see 4 men, and they're not tied up, they're loose, just walking around in the middle of the fire, and they are not hurt." And then he says, the fourth one looks like the Son of God. I mean, can you even imagine seeing that?
So the king calls out to them, and right from the heart of that inferno, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego just
walk out. All his officials crowd around, just staring in total disbelief. I mean, they're witnessing the impossible. Not a single hair on their heads is even singed. Their clothes are perfectly fine. There's not even a hint of the smell of smoke on them. They were completely, utterly untouched.
The effect this has on Nebuchadnezzar is just seismic. This isn't just a small change of heart. It's a complete 180 from the most powerful man on earth. The same king who dared their God to save them now declares, "Blessed be the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego." He makes a whole new law to protect their God and then promotes the three men to even higher positions. It's a total transformation.
So why does this ancient story still hit so hard today? What can we actually take away from it? Let's break down the lessons we can apply to our own lives.
The story leaves us with some really powerful takeaways. First, don't trade your crown, your integrity, your values, just for comfort. Stand true to what you believe, even if you have to stand all by yourself. It's also a stark reminder that what you bow to, you end up serving, and what you serve, you eventually become. And maybe the biggest lesson of all, even when you're in the fire, you are not alone.
And really, it all comes down to this single powerful message. It's a call to have real conviction. It's about believing in something so strongly that you refuse to sacrifice it for anything. Not for fear, not for pressure, not for some false promise of security.
And that leaves all of us with a final thought to chew on. We might not face a literal furnace, but every single day we face our own tests, our own pressures to compromise what we believe in. So the question for you is, when you hear that music demanding that you bow, what are you going to do?